Today we're making seats look great again. Yeah, I went there. I'm Tim Johnson. You're watching Shop Tour Reviews. If you've been following our channel for the last couple of months, then you may have seen our series on a shop truck build. Really, it's kind of a renovation. We've got an 18-year-old truck, but we're trying to make it to be a nice shop truck. Not perfect by any means, but we do want it to be nice inside where we can haul around clients, maybe even pick the kids up from school or church and do whatever we need to do with a pickup truck. Anyway, our seats were in dire need of help. So we reached out to the seat shop and said, hey, can you help us? We've got seats that are well beyond disrepair. So they did. They sent us new covers for these, new leather covers. So we're going to cover both front cushions as well as both backrests with brand new covers from the seat shop. Now, not only that, in this case, as you can see, not only is the cover shot on this driver's seat where you slide in and out, you've probably seen this in many pickup trucks, but also the foam is gone. Now, I grew up in a trim shop. We did auto glass and we did auto upholstery. My father's been doing auto upholstery for many years, many decades, since the 60s to be exact. Anyway, so the answer to this would normally be take a hacksaw, cut some of this out, take another piece of foam, cut it out, glue it on here, and then kind of trim it down the best you could to take the same form. However, the seat shop's got a better idea. They've got their Durafoam. So they sent us a new foam cushion for the driver's seat. The passenger seat still in decent shape as far as the foam goes, but we're going to replace the foam in here as well as they even have the seat heaters if you need these. Now, we thought our seat heaters were okay, but guess what? We pulled them out and you see that little burn spot right there? That seat heater will no longer work because it will not conduct the electricity through there because it's broken and burnt right there. So anyway, they sell these as well. Anyway, let's get to it. We're going to totally redo these front two seats after we've already cleaned up our back seats. Let me break in here really quick. We've broken this video into two parts, basically doing the backrest and then the cushion. So understand that you're watching the first part, which we'll be doing the complete backrest. We'll be showing you step by step on this. Again, we didn't want to keep you too long in watching the whole thing. So if you want to see the actual cushion side, which is actually the part you sit on, and the armrest, you'll skip to the part 2 in the video series. But right now, step 1, let's get to it. So this is the passenger side seat. We've got a little tear there in the cushion, and in the backrest, it's definitely got some creases and some spots where the leather's worn off. So we're going to replace both these, the backrest and the cushion on these. So first thing, we need to take off the plastics here and the controls and get that all taken off. And then we'll go to remove the cushion, and then we'll remove the whole cushion, and then we'll work on the backrest to take the cover off. So let's get started. First things first, make sure your area is nice and clean. Not so important right this second, but when you start putting on the new cover, you definitely don't want any trash or anything getting on there. So make sure your work table, work surface is clean of debris as well as dirt. So that's why I taped down some good thick cardboard and ready for the job. So this is the passenger side, and these are the controls. There's 5 Phillips screws holding this in. Then once you get those out, kind of work it a little bit and pull it back this way, and then you have to unhook this wire that is on the front here. And I'll show it to you in just a moment, but it's almost impossible for me to get a good shot of it right now. There we go. So you'll see here, wire plugs in right here, so you have to pry this little ear down, and then on this one, you can see this clip right here is right against this back edge. So you have to reach in there. I took a screwdriver and pried it out, or you can reach in there and push this down and then pull that out. So not a lot of play there with these wires here to be able to get that control panel, but don't try to jerk it out, as hard as you can. Unplug this one first. It'll give you a little more leeway, and then you can unplug that front one. And now this is in good shape, so I can put that aside. And now this just has a couple of clips that actually will pop this out, but we have to get the seat cushion off first before this will come off. Same thing in reverse. We've got to put this piece of plastic on before we put our cushion on, so always remember that. I'm going to turn our seat around here. Now there's only a couple of bolts or nuts on here that hold this on. This 13 millimeter right here and the 13 millimeter right there. The only other problem is, not really a problem, follow these wires and disconnect wherever you see termination or a connection. So like right there is one, so we'll take this one off, and then if we follow this around here, there's one that's down here, and then if we follow this around here, we'll follow this all the way down, and there's our main connector down there. And then there's probably a seat heater as well as a seat belt clip as well. So unhook all your wires. Depending on what seat you have is going to determine how many of those wires you have, and then we can just get that whole cushion off. If there's no electronic controls in here, this is really easy. You take these two nuts off right here, and down here there's two clips, and they just slide right out. We'll show you that here in just one moment. First, we're going to take this small plastic cover off. So we said on the other side, we have to wait till we take the cushion off. This one comes off now, but this is a great example where somebody has put this on wrong. You see this little plastic tab right here? That is supposed to go in a hole, but it's been bent down, and that's why that thing's kind of sticking out right there. But this just pulls out, and then it clips on the back side. But you see that little tab there should have gone in this hole, and then it wouldn't be bent down. So we'll put that on correctly when we reinstall this. Put that aside. And here's one of our connectors right here, which that is probably for a seat heater. Just come in here, lift that tab up, and pull that apart. Some of these can be a pain after they've been sitting here for 18 years not unplugged. This goes to the cushion, and then this one comes down here. So let's find out where that terminates. Unhook that. There we go. So unhook those. And for these clips, you can take a small pair of needle nose and just squeeze those and pull that right out. And that should be good. Now we're going to take our 13 millimeters off. And then watch down here, this tab right here and this tab over here. You just slide it up, and then that falls out. And then just gently lay this back to make sure all your cords are undone. Pull that through. So now we've got our cushion off. If you're just doing the cushion, then you're good to go. You don't have to worry about this part anymore. Just clean it up, set it aside, and you're ready to do the cushion. Since we're pulling off the backrest cover as well and replacing that, the first thing we need to do is down here on the bottom of the backrest cover, and these are two J moldings, and they kind of hook like this together. So we have to separate these. They can be a pain sometimes. They're more of a pain to get started. I've got a little hook tool here. You can use your hands and even a flat blade screwdriver if you want to, but hook it under one edge, and then once you get it started, it pretty much just comes right off. You just kind of pry it off, and you see what those two J hooks look like to hook together. And then you typically have two push clips right here. So a little pry tool, little interior tool, works good to pop that out, and that just pushes into cardboard, so try not to rip that, and then save those two clips. So these are two just little Christmas tree clips, if you will. Put those aside. By the way, when you're moving this around, don't grab this right here. I know it kind of looks like a handle, but this is probably the most fragile piece of this seat frame, and this handles all your elevation and seat movement. So do not grab it right here. Grab it by the rails here, or grab it by the base over here to move this thing around. Don't grab it right there. So this is the piece I was telling you we had to get the cover off first, and you can see kind of how the seat pan goes down below this, so you can't really pull this off with it on there. And you can just pop this off. It's got a few clips. And one clip on the back, pull straight out. So you see, here's your clips right here, 1, 2, 3, and this fourth one on the back. Make sure you get all those clips. If one of the clips pulls off, go ahead and pull it out of the seat and put it back on the post on the piece of plastic. And then I'd go clean that up and get it ready to put back together. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and take off this 18 millimeter nut. and this is for the seat belt. Remember which way this goes so that you put it on correctly, and it's pretty easy to tell how it kind of bevels out, so you need that clearance. It goes like that, and then we're going to have to feed that back through the seat cover. Okay, so now our cover's ready to come off, but we're getting to two of the toughest points here, and that is, one, just literally getting this turned inside out, and you want to kind of turn it inside out and work it off that way rather than trying to slide it off. But it is a pretty tight fit to go around these bolsters here, because this foam is nice and firm, as well as it's wider than the opening is down here. So you got to stretch it just a little bit. Also, we have this armrest in play. Now that armrest is held on, there's a long pin, or I say a long pin, probably 1.5 inch pin that sticks through, and there's a little horseshoe clip that clips through a groove on that actual shaft that goes through there. You're not going to pry that out, so we've got to get in there, pop that thing out. Afterwards I'll show you and it will make sense, but for right now I've just got to get this cover worked up enough to where I can get my hand in there to pop that clip out. And I'm going to take this little tool here and I can fold this foam back, and again, I know it's not making sense right now, but I'll show you here in a moment. And I can feel it with my fingertip, but it's on hard enough where I can't really break it free with my finger. There we go. I got it loose. Now I have no idea where it's at, so I'll have to fish it out here in a moment. So make sure you look for that as you're taking this apart. So now I should be able to work this out. And so you see what I'm talking about now. The shaft's got that groove right there, and there's a snap ring that snaps over there. And we need to fish that out now. But we can put this aside. This one's in good shape. I'm not recovering it, but we are going to recover the driver's side. Okay, so now what we want to do is kind of roll this cover up rather than peeling it up, and we'll address the headrest and the seat belt here in a moment. But let's get this about halfway up. But before we do that, each one of these seams have Velcro in them that's attaching this seat cover and sinking these seams like that, as you see that. So we need to work that Velcro off, and you don't want to just pull it, because you can actually pull the Velcro off of the cushion or off the backrest. Like here's a cushion right here. It could easily just pull this off, but we want that left on there because that's what's going to create those nice seams for us when we put the new cover back on. So I'm going to reach in here and I'm going to separate that fabric from the Velcro. And you can kind of work your finger up it. If you need to take a little pry tool or something, you can do that too. But if you'll start in the end, there we go. And sometimes you can just push the Velcro down and it will separate from that. Also, like right here, the fabric is actually attached itself to the foam. So I'm working that loose as well. And then I'll start down here at the bottom. And again, work that Velcro up. And there we go. Now we've got that nice and separated, and now we can start working at peeling our backrest cover off. So I've got this one starting to peel. Turn this around. This is probably easier if you have it on the ground and you kind of pull up on it, but I just want to kind of have it in plain sight here. Also, it doesn't hurt if you got a little silicone spray. You can kind of spray it on here because that'll help as you're rolling it inside out to get in there and kind of slide on itself. And now here's one other place that has the Velcro in there, so I need to get my fingers in here and work that out as well. This is kind of a tougher area because you don't have a lot of room to work, but so you can reach in here in this hole right here and find where it starts and just kind of work that up there. You can even stick a screwdriver in there and gently pry that loose as well. But now we've got that loose. Now let's get this down and get the headrest off. So a couple of things here. We need to get this plastic piece off for this seat belt, and you can just get a pry tool in there, and again, a screwdriver may work for you as well. Just two places where it pushes onto two metal tabs. That's not going to come off. It's going to stay on the seat belt, but that's fine. And then on the headrest, there's two little holes here. There's a hole here and there's a hole here. Now you can stick a paper clip in there and push that in. Or in this case, it's not wanting to come off, so I can just kind of pop this cover off. Pop that off. And then you can push these tabs like this, and then that slides out. So there's just two little buttons that you push right here that you should be able to push through these little holes, but sometimes they're kind of a pain to do. So if you just pop those covers off, and we can pop those back on there when we're putting the seat cover back on. And now we can get down and just kind of manhandle this seat. There we go. And we can just pull it around the headrest here. And you could obviously cut this, but you can also just take a screwdriver or something and work it around. Material around those holes. Now we just need to feed the seatbelt stuff through there. And there we have it. This right here is your seat heater, so that's your backrest heater. And if there's any burn marks, that's a little brown right there, but I don't think it's burnt. You can peel this off gently, so it's really only glued across here and down here. You can peel that off and replace it, and there's just a wire that runs down here to below the cushion. But anyway, so you can replace these if they are burnt out, but you typically need to order that with your seat covers. And again, just shoot some contact cement up here, down here, and just stick that on there and it should be good to go. In this case, we're going to leave this one and put these covers back on. Okay, so we made sure that we have our clip back in here for the armrest to go back on. Now we're ready to put the backrest cover on. So there's really nothing we can do with the seat belt other than we got to feed it through the seat. So I'm going to get my seat cover. And by the way, if you're getting both seat covers like us, then obviously the one that has the, just kind of lay it up here, we know that the seat belt side is over here. So this is the correct seat cover for the passenger side. Now there's already a slit cut right here. There's a slit cut in the leather, but not in the foam, so we got to cut a little slit in the foam so that we can stick our seat belt through there. Now I'm just going to take my scissors, make sure you don't cut through the other side. We'll probably have to open this up some more once we get the cover on to get our clip on, but right now that slit should work fine. So now what I'm going to do is just turn this cover inside out. This does a couple of things. Number one, it kind of protects everything, so now we can't get everything filthy and dirty or potential of cutting it. And number two, it helps us get this on. On the seatbelt part, I'm going to leave that right side up. So I've got the little indentation basically still sticking up, so I can feed that on there first. And first thing I need to do is to feed this seatbelt through that little slit. And then I'll take the seatbelt clip, feed that through the hole, and it will fit. You just may have to stretch it a little bit. Okay, I've got the seatbelt clip through. Now the cover. Again, maybe a tight fit through that little slit, but you can make it work. Okay, so now I've got my seatbelt through there. Pull this on there and then just start working it down, and just work it down a little bit. And try to get your seams to kind of line up right here on this seam, so you see where this is going to line up on that. and just start working it down a little. And another thing that may help is, again, a little bit of silicone spray. Just helps things slide a little bit. We've got it at least stretched down on here. Now this is where we need to make sure that some of our seams are lined up. So if we got to work this around, we can do so before we put down this Velcro, because now once we've got this down, we want to push our Velcro in, and that's going to make those nice deep seams and really going to make this, this seat cover look like it was made for this rather than just being a seat cover. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is to sink these middle seams to make sure we're nice and centered. Take my glove off so I can feel it better, to feel, you know, where we're at on this. And if you get started and it's not working, then just reach back up there and loosen that Velcro. But I want to make sure that we're down in that groove. Make sure we're down in that groove. And then, especially in this middle, you may want to kind of run your fingers down through that foam to separate that foam channel so that you can get that Velcro to really sink down in there. And that's what's, again, going to make this a nice seat cover and have that good form. We can really work that in here in a moment, but I'm just making sure that all three of these are lined up. Okay, I think we got that where we need it to be. Should be able to tighten this up some more. Once we cinch it tight down at the bottom, it will tighten up really nice, I believe. I think our seams are in the right place, but our Velcro is definitely in the right place. I don't think it can come any further down and still Velcro in there. Those are nice and stuck. Now let's do the armrest. Really tuck that in there. And then that armrest will help hold this in as well. But you see, even getting that Velcro in there, nice and stuck, really pulled that seat cover in. Gives that bolster a lot better look. Okay, remember we had our two little push clips, and they push into those little holes right there. So we've got to pull this cover in, put a hole in it, and pull this cover over here, put a hole in it. Just kind of guesstimate where that hole is. You can kind of feel it. Push the clip through there and push it in the cardboard. And by the way, if the hole's ripped out on the cardboard, just put the hole in a different place and drill a new hole in the cardboard. Okay, so we got there. And now, here's these two J-hooks. Remember we were talking about when we took it apart? That they fold over and lock in themselves. So this can be a bear sometimes. And sometimes they just kind of line up and work as they should. The trick is definitely getting them started. There we go. There. And you'll hear it kind of lock together. And so that locks those two pieces together. And pull that seat cover tight. So that takes us through actually installing the backrest portion of the seat. That's the part you actually lean against. Very happy with the seat covers coming from the seat shop. I'm so glad to see that. They fit really, really well. If you want to see the portion with the actual cushion, which is the part you sit on, as well as the armrest and hooking up the controls, then that'll be in part 2 of this video series. I say video series, there's only 2 videos. So we'll have a link in the description where you can get to that. Hey, keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button? As always, if you hated our video, give us a thumbs down. But would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day. Keep smiling.